Alright, so we're gonna test out these TB Parts rear shocks for the Honda Monkey. And as you can see, I'm gonna test these out, not so much on the street, but right here on this nice little dirt course. And this is our backyard mini-moto course that I made for the kids, and I say the kids with these apostrophes because I have just as much fun out here riding with the little bikes as they do. The dirt conditions are good today. They're pretty wet. We had a lot of rain here in Florida, so as you can see, the kids left the sandbox open and it's filled with water. So anyways, back to the TB Parts rear shocks. And we just installed these on the bike, and we're gonna go shake them down. I have them set to slow, and what this means is that the rebound and compression should be slower to react. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. I have them set to fast, and I want that because when the shocks are off-road, they're going to be reacting faster with the bumps and the dips, whereas on the road, the bumps and dips come at you a little bit slower. So we're going to put them on fast first, and we're going to go shake things down, see how they feel, see how stiff they are. And as you can see, it's grass mowing season here in Florida in late October, so I'm going to continue the conversation as we roll along. So we'll just take a little slow little hot lap here around my mini-moto track. First, I got two little rolly jumps, and then I have a pretty decent sized tabletop. And the tabletop is meant to provide enough air and length to challenge the Grom and Monkey chassis, or the Pee-wee 50, JR50 that my son rides. So let's see how these rear shocks feel. Pick it up a little bit and get some air time, and then we'll head down to the Supermoto track down at Lars's. Try it out there, which has more high speed, less technical and grassy sections, and then of course we'll ride around on the street a little bit because that's probably what most people are going to do with these shocks, and we'll see how they feel there. Alright, so we took two jumps over the tabletop, and the rear feels really planted. There's no bottoming out whatsoever. So that's a good thing. However, we need to do a little bit more high-speed test off-road, so we'll head down to Lars's here, check out the Supermoto track, and put him to a little bit higher speed of a test. Alright, so we're at Lars's Supermoto track, motocross track, and we built this for the Groms, but we're getting into bigger bikes, so we keep making it a little bit more extreme. So this is a good test bed for Monkey and Grom chassis. So we'll give it a couple of hot laps around here, and we'll see how these shocks react. We just made that a wicked double, so I'm not gonna hit it on this. All right, so we did 2 laps around the pretty slick right now Supermoto track, and the rear shocks did good. Obviously they are a little bit stiffer than I expected, so they don't soak up the off-road bumps and the ruts and stuff as well as an off-road bike will. But then again, I always compare it to an off-road bike when I shouldn't. So with that, we're on a gravel road, crushed, separated concrete and stuff. It's pretty rough, but shocks seem to be absorbing the bumps back here fairly well. You can tell by the shakiness of my voice that they're not considered soft shocks by any means like the stock ones. The stock shocks on this road, they would just soak up these sharp little bumps. So those are definitely better for off-road, but at the same time, this bike is not an off-road bike, and being as heavy as I am, the stock shocks are not good shocks to do what I'm doing with it. So we'll take it out on the street here and see how the mannerisms are on the street. I have to apologize for the continuity of this video. When I shot the footage for the original ride test of those DNM shocks, the bike was cutting out on me when I went to do the road test, and I didn't know what it was at that time and why it was doing it. It caught me by surprise. So it kind of freaked me out, and it kind of stopped my video in its tracks. So I brought the video up to that point to kind of show you that and provide a little bit of a link, a little bit of a segue into that problem, which I already covered in another video. I still haven't gotten down to troubleshooting that part of the problem. It's been a little bit crazy around here with the coronavirus and how busy it has made my family business, 5X Racing. So I haven't gotten much time to work on the bikes, but hold tight because I will get to that. So basically, when I put those DNM shocks on, it was probably the last October 2019 or so. It was a long time ago. So the continuity of this is all screwed up. I'm probably fatter. I have a worse facial hair look now. It was a long time ago. So I wanted to pick back up and try to fill in the blanks and finish that video out, finish this video out. It was that long ago that I referred to it in the past. So anyways, you can see the DNM shocks are back in the box. So what happened? Not much happened. It was just more or less these shocks are very much geared for the road. They're a 330 millimeter length shock, so that's a pretty generic length. If you go on the TB Parts website, you see that these shocks fit a variety of models. They fit the CT70 trail bike, which I have, and it'd be interesting to try them on them because those shocks are super weak. They fit the Monkey. I don't know. They fit a lot of bikes. So what that tells me is they're not designed for one specific bike in mind. And I could feel that with these shocks. So they're very much a street shock. They're very stiff. The dampening adjustment on them, which is this dial right here, slow, fast, So basically that's a compression dampening adjustment. So the compression is obviously when they compress. So the slow and the fast determines how fast or slow they compress. I didn't feel much of a difference in the compression dampening adjustments. I tried them. I adjusted them all the way slow, I adjusted them all the way fast, and I didn't really feel much of a difference. So at the end of the day, it's a street shock, which I don't know. It's weird for me to say this because I do a lot of off-road riding, so I gear a lot of my reviews and my thoughts towards off-road riding, which is probably the wrong way to do it because most of y'all ride street. So it's not sage advice, in my opinion, on what shock is going to be good for your riding, because if you ride off-road, I could tell you exactly what I like and what I dislike, and it would apply to you. However, if you ride street, then my advice is going to be probably off kilter a little bit. So anyways, the DNM shock is a very high quality shock. I do like the microcellular urethane. I don't know why it's so hard for me to say that, because I make these bushings for Mazda Miatas, and it's all of our bushings are made of MCU. So this has an MCU bushing on it, and that, or I'm sorry, I'm calling it a bushing. It's a bump stop. It has an MCU bump stop, which is a great material for bump stops. It's what we use on our Miata race cars, and it's foam. So the foam makes a difference, because the other shocks have rubber bump stops. Rubber is very linear. So linear means it's gonna compress and then rebound at a very similar rate. The foam compresses softer and rebounds softer. So it's a better bump stop material. So there is that in the DNM shocks. The other shocks, like I had the man in the box shocks, that's a rubber bump stop. And the other shocks that I'm going to show you next are, I believe, rubber as well. So that is a good idea from DNM, is to use the MCU bump stop. It's adjustable. You can see the threaded body. That's pretty slick. That's a nice setup. This is a really nice quality shock overall. It just wasn't right for my bike and my riding style. So would I recommend it to you? Depends on what you like to do. If you ride street and only street, yeah, this will probably be a good shock for you. I think it comes in about $250 for the set. That's hitting on the lower to mid-range end of the shock spectrum. You have the Olins on the upper end, the Racing Bros, which are $700–800. You have the man in the box shocks, which are the mid-range, about $450. You have the $250 shocks where these land. I don't know what the YSS shocks cost. I'd like to try them, but I've seen a lot of disparity between what's real and what's not, and that kind of scares me. I don't want to get a fake set of YSS, so haven't gone that road yet. And then you have the lower end of the shock budget, which is essentially the knockoff shocks, which I haven't tried those either. So anyways, is it a good shock for me? No. Is it a good shock for you? Maybe. It's a stiffer shock. So my recommendations are, with the 150 inch-pound rating on them, that's going to be 150 pounds to compress this 1 inch. I explained that earlier. So add these two together, this spring and the other spring, and that should be 300 pounds to compress this spring 1 inch. That's a lot of weight. So if you weigh 300 pounds, this shock's going to be great for you. If you weigh 150 pounds, this shock's going to be like a straight piece of board, like no shocks in there. If you weigh 200 pounds like me, it's going to give you a little bit. So I'd say the shock's good for a 250 pound plus rider. And that's about it. So I took them out of the bike because I have another shock in there, and that's going to be the next video, like I said before. And I'm going to cover that and why I actually like that shock better. So there's the bombshell at the end of the video. So thanks for watching. I'm sorry once again about the continuity, about the break in time on this. I filmed this way earlier, and Now I'm filming the rest of it to follow it up, because I've actually gone through and edited almost the entire video and then realized I didn't have a definitive ending for it. So that's what I'm doing now. So I hope that doesn't bug you out too much. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support, all the subscriptions. You guys are taking my channel beyond my wildest expectations. So I'm having a lot of fun. I wish I could do more, but the family, the business, everything going on dictates my time. Sometimes I don't get a lot of time to do these. Right now I'm filming this at 10 p.m. All the kids are in bed. The internet's down in the house, so I don't have any shows to watch, to catch up with. No binge watching going on, so I decided to come out and make a video. So anyways, thanks for sticking in there. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Thanks for subscribing. See you next time.